Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Gitit Kaufman. I'm a psychotherapist and the owner of Connecting Dots Counseling. I use this channel to bring people as guests to communicate and talk about anything that relates to mental health. Today, I welcome attorney Matthew Weidinger, who works with injury, like someone who falls or car accident. Tell us more about
Yes,
your work.
indeed. We do personal injury law, we do criminal defense law, so we're accustomed to coming into people's lives, having them reach out to us during a time of trauma, and they're struggling to process these events and understand the legal impact, and we can help them with the legal impact, but as you know, there's a lot more going on there. There can be physical health issues and mental health issues, financial consequences, emotional and relationship consequences. And we just do the legal side, but we try to be really mindful and appreciate that everybody is on their own journey and now has to continue forward after going through a traumatic event usually.
Right. I like how you use the term moving forward, knowing that that's usually what I experience from my clients, that they want to go back to who they
Yes.
were before the trauma, right? Some people after a car accident may experience anxiety, so it's hard for them, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's hard for them to go back behind the wheel. They want to
is.
go back to who they were before. Yet helping them identify that we can never go back to who we were, but just moving forward.
Yeah, a lot of people will identify with their pre-accident self after a car accident and speak fondly about activities that they were capable of, or the fact that they could drive around town without fear of a collision, and now they're very guarded and try to limit their driving. And that's really unfortunate because Denver doesn't have a public transportation system that's quite as expansive as Boston or New York or what have you, San Francisco. So the reality is someone will probably have to get back into a vehicle to go to work, to go to social functions, for a child care, transportation, and things like that. And we want them to be able to do that. And so they can't go back to this pre-accident state, but you can try to regain your capabilities, and with the right help, the right professional assistance, and people who understand and listen to you and can guide you and listen and help you navigate that, then you can, I think, get back to not where you were before, but regain some of the things that you temporarily have lost.
Right. And you nailed it, right? It's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
For us, being able or identify that we're still capable, it's really hard. But what you describe is a way of exposure therapy, right? We have no choice. It's good for us to go back behind the wheel or to be a passenger, right? Because some of them are passengers and they're like, I don't want that, right? So when we are working together, both you and from my side of the emotional and mental state, is to identify their strengths, right? To be able to sit down with themselves and be more aware of what triggers them, right? What's the challenging for them to sit in the car, right? And how to help themselves to kind of put that aside and really focus on how to be able to make that happen for them, because it's not just for the person itself, but it's also for their family.
Well, and I think part of that too is normalizing that that self-reflection, and for people to understand and appreciate that it's okay to feel those things, and to realize that now you're hyper vigilant behind the wheel. You're holding on real tightly when you go through an intersection or anywhere near the spot where you had the collision, or if you're a passenger, you're sitting in a particular seat inside the vehicle. You get back inside that vehicle at all, sometimes a trigger. And I think a lot of people ask, is that okay? They ask inside the context of a personal injury claim, is it okay that I get mental health treatment and submit that? And because it's not fully normalized, and there's still a stigma about getting help for that, and there shouldn't be. It's part of your overall wellness. It's part of your recovery. If you pursue all of your chiropractic and physical therapy and your physical recovery, but you don't address the mental health and post-traumatic consequences, then you haven't really achieved a full recovery, and it's still going to go untreated and potentially impact relationships and impact your work-life balance and your functionality throughout the day. So it is an important piece. It's critical, and it's on the legal side. It's recoverable, and people should get help.
Right, and so you touch here the element of the whole parts of who we are. Right, we need to address the medical aspect of it. If what that accident caused a person, right? Any kind of doctor appointments that needs to be addressed, and so it's beyond the physical. It's also the emotional and the mental, and how to help them combine that to see that this is all of who they are. It's not like, oh, I just went to the oldest physician or any kind of appointment I had to do, so I'm done. No, there's still work to be done through you guys, but also if it's searching for a specialist, or to work with the person himself or herself about the mental and emotional aspects that relate to the accident, because it relates to all of who they are.
It does, and I don't think we as human beings can perceive all of the ways that we might be that we might have changed after a traumatic incident, right? So sometimes it takes other people in our orbit to help us notice those things. I might not be personally aware that maybe I'm more emotionally volatile after the collision, just a little bit shorter fuse, or maybe I'm forgetting things that I would normally remember. And people, in my life, friends and family, might notice these things, but I might not be consciously aware of it. I'm just trying to get through the day, get to my, physical therapy and chiropractic appointments, and just keep up with everything. But it can have such a multifaceted impact, such a wide impact. It's important to make sure that you connect with a professional who can help you unpack, process, and go forward after this type of incident.
So you touch here two elements: professional help, but also the social connection that can be very helpful.
Yeah.
Someone to lean on. And so there's like two-way streets, right? That your friend is telling you, hey, something is off here. You can go and search for help, or I'm here for you. And also admitting the person, him or herself, admitting that they need help. And again, as you said, it's to be able to normalize that, right? That it's really trauma being in a car accident, right? We're not really realize of the impact of the car, right? And especially as technology get more improved, the cars drive faster, and it just, the impact is much stronger. And it's important to realize that with that realization, we do not need to manage all by ourselves. And I think part of the shame that you talked about, or the embarrassment, is to say, I need to do it all. If it's a male, again, especially in our culture, it seems like a male has more of dominant thing that, I need to manage. So it seems like you see that as well, that people have that.
Yeah, I think people apply some sort of like prejudgment, thinking, I survived this, my accident wasn't that bad, I shouldn't need to go get this amount of help, or I should be better, I shouldn't have any kind of like emotional consequences or need counseling from it. But there's no correlation really. It's every person's journey, and two 5,000-pound plus metal objects slamming into each other at force, that can be traumatic to anyone. You don't have to judge it based on how much property damage occurred, how bad the cars look, or how bad the injuries are. A lot of times a person might not have any fear of driving, but they just have a real disappointment in their own reduced physical capabilities after this. And maybe they were a very active person before, and now they're in pain and not sleeping well, can't exercise or hit some of these milestones that they were hitting before, and that disrupts their work-life balance, and they start to wonder, the longer this goes on, am I ever going to regain my physical strength, my health and wellness, and that only compounds the mental health impact, I think. And so that's yet another reason to make sure it's addressed.
Right. It sounds like it's maybe I can use that dental issues, right? We think like, oh, we're struggling with something, but if we can avoid it, right, and it will be better. Right? And that's the same with trauma. We think like the fact that we do not have it anymore in front of us, it disappeared, so we can avoid it. Yet what you're saying, it's so true that actually by avoiding it, we can it actually has a lot of other element that impact our life. If it's our relationship with our kids, with our colleagues, with our friends, that we're not as we used to be. And if we're not going to work on what those triggers are and what the impact it's on us, yes, it impacts other elements of our life and other roles or relationships that we don't want to wake up when it's too late, but we want to address that as soon as possible.
And this is more your wheelhouse than mine, but I try to encourage people, keep open lines of communication with people in your life who can support you, who are a resource to you. Don't shut them out. Don't assume that they will judge you or shame you for needing help through this, because in fact those people can be so critical to your recovery. And if you are open and honest with them and they can demonstrate understanding and support you, then they can help in some of the areas where you feel like you're struggling. If you maybe not working as many hours as you could before, you have to take more breaks. Staring at the screen might give you a headache. Talk to your boss, talk to your coworkers. Just get help. If it's friends and family at home, if you just can't maintain the things around the house or get to the gym as often as you used to, or certain activities just take longer, that it's important to talk to people in your life who care about you and can help you through this time. And it's just circles back to our theme here of it's okay to ask for help, and
right.
Just like a person would ask if they had a physical injury, that's a mental health injury needs to be treated the same.
Right. And I have that in mind, and I wasn't sure if it's appropriate to share that, but I'll do. Because we're talking about grief here, right? The trauma and the grief that relates to the accident. So from my work, I came up with this acronym of grief, that G stands for gone. Something that we used to have is no longer here. R stands for rage, or the regrets of the relationship that we no longer hold. E stands for emptiness. As you said, we tend to stay more inward. And I stands for isolation, because we more kind of feel empty. We isolate ourselves from how to deal with that. And F stands for fear. Fear of moving forward, fear of learning to forgive, right? And part of the car accident, right? We think that if we will forgive the driver who we believe is responsible to that accident, we may minimize his blame. Yet, when we're not learning to forgive, we're actually keeping that toxic or toxicity inside of us that actually blocks us from moving forward. So part of what you do and what I do with my clients is to help people, identify that when we're forgetting, or when we are learning, to forgive, we're not really forgetting, or we're not minimizing the element of what happened, but we're actually helping us to move forward to a better place that we want to have for ourselves. So I think that's kind of...
Yeah, and I think there's a common thread, your involvement and my involvement. We're trying to help the person regain some control and kind of eliminate this feeling of powerless that they have. Commonly when people are injured through someone else's negligence, they feel like they've been subjected to that person's bad decision, right? They're injured because that person made a bad decision on the road or was distracted or what have you. And so that immediately creates a feeling of powerlessness and helplessness. And the longer this goes on, as you said, they can feel rage toward the driver, or just, even if it's not directed at the at-fault driver, but just a frustration, an anger, a disappointment with the persistence of their symptoms. They wake up again, day 35, and they're still waking up with neck and back pain, and it just they start to feel like this situation is going to go on, and before the collision they had all their ducks in a row and their life was organized, and they were pursuing objectives, and now they've been knocked off course. But that's why that on the legal side we can help. We understand that. We take all of the bureaucracy off your plate, just contact the insurance companies and help educate you on your rights as a claimant, and to pivot forward and move forward past this and reestablish the goals that you have in life, and talk about what that looks like, but only with a full recovery. Only if you pursue professional assistance for any physical injuries, cognitive, psychological, emotional, whatever that looks like for you. However this has changed your life, it's important to process it, understand it, because in the end, in a personal injury claim, we pursue a financial settlement, but ultimately I want a person to be able to look back on this experience and say, I talked to everyone that was relevant. I got all the professional assistance that I wanted, so that I was able to pivot forward from this event, understand it, and get myself back on track.
So you're kind of putting here the element of an umbrella of support, right? That the person, it's important for them, and you providing a lot of that, how to get as much help as they need relate to that car accident. But you're right, it's also the emotional challenges, the mental challenges, and the physical challenges, and we need to know to address all of them. And some of them, it's the spirituality, right, that can help them navigate with all that chaos that they are in, and how to create a clear path of where they need or want to go, right? So how people can reach out to you guys?
So if you have suffered any kind of injury through someone else's negligence, or you're not even sure if you have a claim, you can reach out to us. You can and give us a call. We will tell you, if this is something that we can help you with, or if not. Not every caller has a claim, but we do as much as we can for people that do and have legal avenues of recovery. And we try to be very compassionate and appreciative of what you've gone through, and move quickly to take things off your plate, because usually when someone calls, they're getting bombarded with voicemails from the insurance adjusters, multiple insurance companies, their health insurance, the hospital, and they're not sure where they can go for treatment. They're not sure if it's going to be covered. The vehicle may be in the shop or totaled. They're not sure how to get to work or pick up the kids and take them to school. And all of these things are just open questions, and there's too many questions for them to focus on any given problem and solve it. So we try to take the legal stuff off your plate so you can focus on pursuing your own physical and mental recovery.
And it sounds like you're doing that with a lot of compassion, right? I mean, sometimes we think, right?
It's critical.
But sometimes we think, attorneys, right? They're kind of harsh and cold. Yet what we can see from you here, that you bring a lot of your personality in, how much you care for your clients, so they can sense that in you. Having that open and honest conversation, that saying, we got you, right? Don't worry, we're here to help. And I think that's important to all of us to understand, that you do not need to struggle by yourself. There's always help around.
Oh, absolutely. I've been there myself. I was in a car accident a couple years ago, and so I've walked this journey. And no two journeys are alike. I won't promise you that, but I understand some of the things that challenge you, that people struggle with after going through an event like this. So it's important to reach out and connect with people who want to help you and want to be there for you.
Yeah. Thank you for being so honest about your own personal journey. And I think you touched something very important. The fact that I had a car accident doesn't mean we experience the same stuff or we still holding same issues. So it's really important to identify that we're all having a personal journey, and you're not here to say, oh, I know what you need, right? You're more of learning from your client what they need. And I think that's important to recognize, that you're not giving that, oh, this is kind of the whole bucket and throw it at them, but you're actually doing the opposite. You're learning from your clients what they need and trying to provide that to them.
That's right. And everybody has different priorities, different struggles after something like this. And so we try to listen to you and help you in a way that's meaningful and valuable.
That's very nice and important. So thank you. Anything else you want to add here that I missed? Or
No.
Okay. So thank you very much. Feel free to subscribe or leave us any comments below. Gitit Kaufman, Connecting Dots Counseling, and Matthew Weidinger from...
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. See you in
Thank you.
Yeah.